You're used to seeing from Nielsen the media landscape, all of the things that we're measuring, all of the things that's going on. Mitch Barnes talked today about the explosion of change that we're seeing. And our job in my team, the Analysis and Insights team, is really to try and help you understand some of that, to get under the changes. We've got representative samples that measure about 11 hours of media consumption today. And that's in terms of our panels and then also in some of our census data. Television is the largest portion of that, more than half of that media consumption, followed by radio. But we're also looking, obviously, at computers, at mobile devices, and at all of the content that we move around from screen to screen. So one of the things we wanted to do was take a look at kind of a behind-the-scenes look to see if we could build on some really good work that has been done in the past by the CRE in terms of the video mapping, and then some work also that MBI did to look at how are we using all these devices, how do they interact. I know how many hours we're consuming, I know how many gross rating points there are, but what is behind all of that? So what we're going to look at today is kind of some days in the lives of some of our TV panelists, and then all of the things they are using to consume video content. And that'd be live time-shifted TV, whether they're using Netflix, looking at something on their DVD, game consoles, multimedia devices, and that's a big part of how we're getting content, and it's a different way of looking at how we're getting some of our digital content. So here's a weekend day, and this is in the life of a heavy television home. These are heavy TV consumers. This is a 5-person household. Mom and dad are boomers, and they've got 3 daughters ranging from 17 to 27. But what we're going to look at is how they spend their time watching video within that household on this day. First of all, we see dad up there. He's 52 years old. He's down in the bottom in the blue, and that's because he's in the basement. Dad watches most of his television down on the basement TV set. So this is seriously a man cave, and we'll see this again when we look at the next day. Mom does most of her viewing in the master bedroom, and this is true for most of what we look at when we're looking at TV viewing, is that we have our sets that we view on. We have certain programs that we watch individually, and then there are other times when we watch together as a family. So we see Mom doing most of her tuning today in the master bedroom. We see people coming back and forth between other bedrooms in the house and the living room. In this particular household, what we're seeing, and this is a Netflix home, they're a cable home, they're a middle-income family in middle America. But what they're doing is they're watching mostly live TV with some time shifting and some Netflix consumption coming in. One of the things that we've recently added to our capabilities within the panel is to be able to look at Netflix. So we can say, okay, this is a Netflix home, they are using Netflix. In this particular household, they are using devices to put the content on the TV. They don't have smart TVs. But what this allows us to do really is to use this a little bit as of a lab to look at changes in behavior in the household. So if they change and they subscribe to Netflix, if they add a smart television in the bedroom, what's going on? What dynamic does that cause? If they add cable or if they drop cable, we're able to then look at, isolate those viewers and look at it and see what changes all of this is causing. So this is a weekday in that same television household. One of the things that we'll see is many more periods during the day, during the weekdays, when people are not tuning. So we're squeezing in as much TV, but we're doing it more at the beginning and ends of the day. Again, this is a Monday night, and we see Dad watching television by himself in the basement for 4 hours. I think this is a Monday night in November. We might be able to figure out what perhaps he was tuning into. So let's look now. We've got another household in the sample. This is a younger household. The heads of households are in their late 30s, and they've got 2 kids, a male 14 and a female 9. Interesting here, totally different dynamic. In this household, mom and dad watch television together more of the time. So totally different picture than the household we showed you before, where it was almost all solitary viewing. The male 14-year-old, and this is what you will see in practically any household, is teenagers view in their rooms by themselves on their own sets, on tablets, on whatever. We're not going to see them down on the couch in the living room very often. But here again we see people moving in and out between sets. The 14-year-old is watching live TV, followed by time shifting, followed by live TV, followed by time shifting. Practically all the time, that is what he's watching. So it could be going back between live TV and VOD or the DVR. But we again see mom and dad viewing together and in the living room. Now, this is a household that has a smart TV that is enabled in the living room. So we are seeing them bringing in the over-the-top into the living room in this household. This is a weekday in that same household. Again, the hours that we see beginning and end of the day when we're not seeing television viewing. And again, we're able to look at the fact that they are using the smart TV in the living room to bring internet content in. And that internet content is actually then co-viewed. So we are seeing perhaps a Netflix, and this is a Netflix home, coming across off of our digital panels. But here we're actually seeing multiple people watching that content within the household. And again, we're seeing both live television and time shifting here. This is a day in the life, or actually 2 days in the life, of a light TV home. Now you're looking at all the symbols up there. They don't look like a light TV home. They're doing an awful lot of video viewing. But the video viewing that they're doing is interspersed between the live TV and then quite a bit of time spent on an over-the-top device. But this is an Asian American family, and the over-the-top device is actually a foreign over-the-top device. So they are watching foreign language internet content, and they are doing it in their on their television sets within their living room. And here we see many co-views to that content. So if we looked at this from kind of a TV profile, we would say light video household. They're not light at all. They're just viewing differently, and they are viewing together most of the time when they view. So let's take a quick look at the future. This is our late 30s TV home that we looked at. We're also talking today about the fact that we'll be adding mobile measurement later on this year and adding it into the TV currency if it's appropriate to the TV currency, and measuring it with the digital if it's appropriate by the advertising content to be there. So that same home has a number of tablets and cell phones within that household. So this is the future look that we will be giving you from the same panelists, off of metered data or census data, the actual interactions between all of those screens. So to sum up then, we're seeing this seismic shift in the consumer in terms of TV consumption. The consumer's in charge, and our job is to try and help you understand all of those changes. We believe all those merging distribution channels require that holistic measurement, the same measurement that we're almost all talking about today. We want to be able to look at people and content and devices, and we want to be able to do it in a way that makes sense of how all of that is interacting. We really believe that the total view that you get from the panels and the census data married with this kind of real-time view, so the interactions of a family as they consume video, will add real value both for our markets and marketers as well as for our content providers. We've been using some of this with some of our clients, and we're excited to be able to do more of it because it really allows us to dig into changes in the media environment and to be able to understand them from the ground up. Thank you.